Hello, everybody.
Yeah, hello and welcome to Cardboard Conversations. And we're happy to have you viewers with us here today. And with us today, we also have Drew. And you're going to talk a little about, of course, sorcery and playing sorcery.
Yes.
So, would you
Absolutely.
like to introduce yourself to the viewers, Drew?
Yeah, my name is Drew. I have a channel called On the Play. It's specifically for sorcery content. I'm just like both of you. I am in love with the game, and I want to share my gameplay with the world, essentially. And so, yeah, I'm based in Texas, the Lone Star State, Dallas specifically, and I've been playing sorcery for maybe about a year now. I think I kind of lost track. I play so
Yeah,
much. I don't really know how long it's been, but I've played a lot of games in between from when I started to now. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, just like for a beginning here, we're going to be able to take some questions from chat. So, do write if you have any questions for us or for Drew. But maybe you can also tell us a little bit about, when did you hear about sorcery? Were you on from the Kickstarter already, or did you come in just after? When did you start?
That's a good question. Unfortunately was not a part of the Kickstarter, and I'm probably kicking myself because of that.
Yeah.
Um, not because not because I didn't see the game and fall in love with it and just decide not to join. I just saw videos online like yours and the professors just after the Kickstarter ended. So the algorithm worked,
Oh,
but
yeah.
unfortunately, it hit me after the Kickstarter ended. So um, that's when I saw the game. And really, for me, before sorcery, one of my favorite things to do in my spare time is play Baldur's Gate, specifically Baldur's Gate 3 and the Divinity Original Sin series. I love turn-based strategy games, video games, and when I saw sorcery, it just really fit that kind of that hole for that's a weird way to say it, but that it kind of fit that thing for me where physical games, because I love deck building too. Like when I've come from a Magic background and I've been playing Magic for years, and when I saw sorcery and just the deck building element and kind of that turn-based strategy where position is just as important as anything else in the game, if not more important. So I just really fell in love with that aspect of it. And ever since I played my first game of sorcery, the first time I ever tapped my first avatar, I haven't played a game of Magic since. So I've fully converted to sorcery. And that is very true. I'm not just saying it because I'm on stream right now. That is very
No, no,
true.
no.
Yeah, I think we feel a bit similar because we sort of
Mhm.
still trying to, okay, magic is still something we love to play, but the
Yeah.
direction currently and just like sorcery is just it's taking up a lot of our time and attention right now because it's really
Yeah.
cool. So Sorcery Gamblers Club is with us and Nerd are proud of it. Hi guys, nice to see you in the chat there.
Awesome.
So when did you start playing? Did you start playing as like a physical card game or did you start on TTS like most people did? Because in those
Um,
early days, it was like presumably pre-Kickstarter delivery, so there wasn't anyone to buy off.
Right. I did start in TTS.
Yeah,
I found the Discord and seriously saw the community was awesome. Everyone was extremely helpful, answering a bunch of questions. And I love taking on new things new games or whatever the case may be, new camera things, new whatever I'm doing. I love absorbing it and diving in 100%. And I did that with sorcery, and watched a bunch of games because if you go to the official Discord, there's always people playing and people are
yeah.
always live streaming. And so I watched it and I was like, this is exactly what I expected it to be, where just the strategy element of the game, where differently from Magic, where it's just you're swinging forward and you're absorbing damage backwards. This was more left and right, up and down, and I just
Ooh.
absolutely loved that aspect of the game. There was more. It just didn't seem just so vanilla, I guess you can say. So I started with TTS, so watching all of those games, and then I was like, this is definitely. In playing it, I could sense that this was going to be something bigger than just alpha at the time. I knew that it was going to continue on, and I was like, I'm definitely going to invest money and resources into this. So once I started playing enough and I kind of figured out my style and how I wanted to play the game, then I just started doing some deck building on Curiosa and then built some decks. I bought some alpha boxes before they skyrocketed. I still have a couple boxes behind me that are sealed. That it's
Oh, marshmallow test.
a lot of discipline on my part to not open either my alpha or my beta product, but I have those, and so yeah, it's been great. I absolutely love the game, and ever since I started playing physical. So for anybody that's listening that hasn't played the game physically yet, or hasn't actually taken that jump to get physical cards and only playing on TTS, there's just a totally different element when you're playing physical cards.
Completely.
I learned the game in TTS, like understanding all the different little mechanics. But once I started playing at an LGS and got the cards in my hand, that's when I became obsessed with it. And I was just like, oh, this is absolutely the game for me. And going back to TTS kind of helps me tune my strategies, because I can kind of do that for free essentially. But then once I've kind of committed more or less to a style, then I get the alpha product, and then I go to my LGS, and then I just start playing. So yeah, it's a combination of both. I started on TTS, but I'm obsessed with playing in paper for sure.
Yeah, I also think like TTS is great for like mechanics and just like getting an idea of the gameplay, but the style, the vibe of it, seeing the art in hand, all of that, and really getting a feel for the grid that really comes to life when you're playing it with the physical cards. So Chase, thank you for joining. He is asking you, was there a particular card that you fell in love with early on, either for the art or the mechanics?
Yeah. There's a card that I fell in love with that probably no one would ever guess, and it's for the type text, honestly. Scent Hounds is one of my favorites. Because of the type text where it says ordinary beasts with extraordinary sniffers. Because
okay, how can you love that? I mean, that's amazing.
I mean, that was absolutely amazing. And obviously the art, I actually kind of came prepared because I was hoping someone would ask my favorite cards. I do have a list of favorite cards, but for flavor, and one of the first ones that I saw that I just thought was amazing. Once I read that, I chuckled so hard. I was like, yeah, this is definitely the game for me. And I always said that to my dog as well about his sniffer. I said that all the time. And unfortunately he passed away, but yes, I always said that. So it always reminds me of him when I see that card. So yeah, that one definitely. And also Chase, one of my favorite cards, and I think this is maybe more so for the art than the ability, even though the ability is awesome. I love Wicked Witch. I think that is just such a haunting card, and I obviously the fact that it's a spellcaster is amazing. The ability to give nearby minions, yours and your opponents, -2 power. So that's awesome when you have like those turtley kind of fortressy shells. But the art is absolutely amazing. Just the haunting look to it with the pop of orange is just so amazing. And seeing it in foil and you look at the back of that card, it is amazing. I absolutely love it.
Definitely. And yeah, of course, we have seen many of your games on TTS, and you're really fluent in your gameplay, and it goes really fast. And you just saw your sorcery speed, and it's really much like watching chess, where you just timestamp.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
JC is saying that he's glad TTS is there, but it's so clunky for the uninitiated. Yeah, that's hard to say for the uninitiated. Yeah. And he gets frustrated every time, and it may just be a me problem. But do you have some good advice for people, trying to learn to play on TTS to make it less clunky and a more fluid experience, closely related to playing physical cards?
Yeah, I mean, I get what JC's talking about with the clunkiness, and it may be a you thing, it may be TTS. I think it's actually a me thing and a TTS. And there's honestly, it's not the biggest learning curve, in my opinion, at least. There's only a few buttons that you really need to focus on. other than just clicking and dragging your cards around. And that also has to do with the deck that you're building. If you're playing water and you're looking at the top card and bringing him to the bottom, that's an extra thing you're having to learn. So if you're not playing water, you don't have to worry about that extra little shortcut and how to do that. If you're just tapping your minions, it's just the E key, or it's just the Q key to turn it the other way. There's only a few that you really have to learn. From the outside looking in, it can be a little bit difficult. But one thing you got to remember too with sorcery is, when you're playing casually, it's not time based. Like, you have your time to learn, and that's really. And I'm looking down at my mat right now because I have a play mat in front of me. You can be patient with it. You don't have to feel like you're being rushed a lot of the time. So there's a lot of good videos out there on the play. My YouTube channel, I've recorded a how to play on TTS video as well. So, but there's some really good ones out there. There's a lot of content creators that have how to play on TTS, and it might seem a little confusing, but hopefully when my video comes out, it'll kind of clear up that confusion, because I try to make it as crystal clear as possible and just give you the exact things that you need. So shameless plug, if you're not subscribed to my channel, that'll be on there.
Yeah, and the link is down in the description. So when we're done here, everybody go hit that link and go subscribe.
Definitely.
So much awesome gameplay going on. So let's just briefly you played from early on, you got fascinated on TTS, fell in love with Alpha, clearly proceeded with beta, and very actively playing right now. But how did you get into content creation? Because I found something that's very interesting with sorcery. It's attracted a lot of people who love it so much that they want to make content for it. Why did you want to make content for sorcery?
That's the honest answer is there wasn't a lot of it out there. And with my background and knowing, I've put out content for other games in the past that existed on the internet and no longer exist on the internet because it just kind of gets missed. And I said, I felt, me personally, that I could contribute in some small way. And I'm sure you both felt like that way as well. And so trying to do that with Magic or some of the other really big named games, you just kind of got lost and you were just a small fish in a huge pond. And so I saw, first was my obsession with sorcery and just wanting to play the game. And I was like, well, also my background in video production, I said, hey, I think this is a great opportunity. And there was a lot of content that wasn't out there. It wasn't the content that was out there. It was the content that wasn't out there that I was like, hey, I think I could do these things. And that's when I was just like, hey, let me just hit record and let me see if people like the content that I'm making. So yeah, that was pretty much it. But I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also so interesting because the community is super welcoming. I also feel like that might also, factor into new people who don't have any background in video production or anything, feel like, okay, hey, maybe people will be, nice about it, and people are super supportive also of all the other newer, smaller channels. And that's been great for us as well, because people really tend to support each other. Also, just like right now, collaborating. So that's been a lot of fun with sorcery, that there are so many content creators already out there.
Indeed.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah, but that also brings us maybe to the next question, which I think is very much in line with what we're going to talk about today, because as you can see on the screen, the question is about how we can, accommodate players on a large scale in a competitive scene. And we know that you are actually going to talk a little about a big tournament coming up.
Yeah, that's correct. That's a great segue. Locust, I don't want to mess up the name, but that's a great segue. Thank you for that. I do have a tournament that's coming up on March 16th called March of the Mortals. It's going to be in Denton, Texas. And one thing that's going to be a little bit unique about it is the sense that it's going to be completely live streamed, like you were watching a sporting event or some other like big Grand Prix event. Again, coming back with the video background and the support of Reaper Game Store, which is where we're having the tournament in Denton, Texas. They have an amazing staff that are extremely knowledgeable in a lot of things. And one guy in particular there is kind of their video and audio guru. And so I came to them and I said, hey, I want to make this kind of bigger, this really big tournament and at Reaper. And for those that are able to go there, I want to make it as over the top as possible. And for people that aren't there, I want them to be able to witness and experience that level of production and just enjoyment of the game, most importantly. And so, yeah, on my YouTube channel on March 16th, if you're not able to go to it, we'll be live streaming the whole thing. I have some guest co-hosts that will be there that are active in the sorcery community that are going to be on the panel with me. I'm going to be doing, interviews in between rounds with the players. There's multiple feature matches. So there's going to be top-down content like you're familiar with other like big, Grand Prix and regional tournaments. So everyone at home can enjoy the content as well. And so myself and other commentators will be talking about the game as they're happening, taking, viewer feedback and everything like that. And yeah, player interviews and just a lot of fun. I just want to try to do something that hasn't been done yet, I guess, and see how much the community loves it. Because again, like you said, and even me putting this on, this is all community fan driven.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorcery didn't come to me and say, hey, can you put this on? Like I came to them and I said, hey, I've got this event that I want to put on. And they support the decisions for players and fans to do these things. So it's been absolutely fantastic. JC, I saw your comment. Thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate it. Yeah. So,
Cool.
Yeah.
So how many players and what kind of setup? Is it sealed? Is it competitive? Is or not competitive? Is it a constructed decks? What kind of tournament are we talking?
Yeah. So it is constructed. There's currently right now, there's a 64 player cap. We have passed 2/3 of that for the registration.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. We just announced it like a week and a half ago, I think. Actually, Saturday will be 2 weeks. So we've already passed 2/3 of the registration cap. But we have a few more announcements that I'm going to be posting soon. So hopefully that helps. And if we get to that number 64 pretty quickly, we may increase it, just depending on if players want to come. So we're not going to turn anybody away, basically.
Yeah.
So we just want the event to be good, and we just want people to enjoy themselves and see the game. So to answer your question, sorry, I went on a tangent there. To answer your question, it's constructed. There's 64 players. It's best of one. I would say it's competitive, semi-competitive, mainly because of, and I would say competitive mainly because of the prizes that are involved.
Yeah.
So I think when you start having a high dollar value when it comes to prizes, I think inherently it just kind of becomes competitive and the more competitive players come. But I want it to be enjoyable for everybody. So from someone who wins first place to get things, to get items, to get prizes, I want the last place person to get things as well and have an opportunity to win things. So it should be great. I'm really excited for it. So, I guess it's kind of competitive. It's best of one. So yeah, we'll see. It's going to be Swiss rounds originally. The first 6 rounds of the tournament are going to be Swiss. And then once that's over, it's going to be a cut to the top 8 playoff, which is just a single elimination. That's all going to happen on that Saturday, which for future March of the Mortals, right now, Bill and I and John from Reaper, when we announced this, it was a little bit short from when we announced it to when the event was happening. So, and we knew a lot of people were coming from out of town. So we weren't able to make it a weekend. We could have, but we thought the turnout wouldn't be as good and wouldn't be as enjoyable for the players. So we decided to just make it a one-day thing for 2024. But we're already starting to plan 2025, which will be a larger event in the sense of over a weekend span. So when both of you come in to the event, you'll make it a trip and not just a one-day thing.
Yeah, but that would be
Um,
amazing. And I also imagine that if you have like an entire weekend, you can do constructed, but you could also do side
exactly.
events and just mix it up a bit more. So Mindsoup is asking, is this all on your own wallet, or do the entry costs actually cover some of the pricing?
That's a good question, Soup. And I like the profile pic. Yeah, this is all coming out of my
Yeah.
pocket. Yeah,
Yeah.
the entry cost is to cover mainly the where we're having the tournament,
Yeah.
Reaper Game Store. So really, it's my love for the game. I'm okay with investing money into the game to grow the community here in Texas and kind of just put, and maybe it's it's a little bit more personal for me, but I just kind of want to have a kind of an area in the community of saying like, hey, in Texas, we do it big and they can have big tournaments there. And so for future ones, yeah, I don't mind investing some money into it on my own dime. Good question, Soup.
But again, cool. I mean, that level of commitment, that is
Yeah.
just not something that you find everywhere. So I think there is something special about the sorcery vibe and getting in early and feeling like you can contribute something.
Definitely. But
Yeah.
what about Sorcery Contested Realm, the firm? Have they reached out to you and tried to help out in any way they can?
Yeah, you mean Eric's Curiosa?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have. They've been extremely helpful with little things here and there that I would like to do for the tournament. And you know, yes, they have. They definitely have. There's things that I asked for, like, can I use this sort of sorcery material like during my live stream breaks? Am I able to show this? Am I able to not show this? And they've been extremely supportive with all the posts that they made. They featured an article from March of the Mortals as well on their website. So they've been absolutely awesome. Chase and Simon over at Eric's Curiosa and everybody there have been absolutely amazing. So yes, they're very supportive.
That's
Awesome.
great to hear.
We're
Yes.
just going to jump to a bit of a different topic here because Nerd and Proud of It, our fellow European content creator for sorcery, among other things, is saying, do you think there is too much of a focus on competitive play recently, as opposed to collectibility, art, flavor that tends to be forgotten a bit? Do you think there's anything to that statement?
I think it's a really good statement. I think maybe Nerd and Proud of It. I would agree. And I think I hope it takes maybe somebody like you to, and actually there's so many, I mean, your channel and there's so many other channels that really have a huge focus on the art piece of it as well. And all the little tidbits of the, the curios, which I absolutely love what you guys are doing. That's so great with that. And so, yeah, I don't know. I'd love to see like conventions or more casual play. I think for players like me, Nerd, I think, it's hard for me to say that there's too much of a focus because I love competitive play, but I can
Yeah.
definitely see where there is maybe not too much, but there is definitely a focus on it. There's always going to, once there's like a trading card game and a deck builder and things like that, there's always going to be, competitiveness to it. I know for me personally, there is. When I play, like I want to win. Sometimes I need to settle down from that and just say, hey, like the game is fun. Like I love having fun. I love the flavor of the cards and the thematics of the cards. It's so much fun. But then like once I play something, I also don't like losing. And so nerd and proud of it, you may not want to be asking me that question, but I do agree with you. There is a very big, strong focus on I did say Chanimals, David. I don't know why I said that,
But I mean, hey, that might be the new thing to go with.
Hey,
Animals, yeah.
I love it. Yeah, but I do think to just like
it's just fun that you say because I remember that Sophie at one point said, Drew has reached out and he wants to play with you. I'm like, I'm not certain I want to play with Drew. I've seen some of his matches.
No,
I don't want to be matching good.
You were a bit scared about the level of competitive play here.
Definitely. I saw you play a battle mage. I was like, holy shit. That took 20 seconds and that was a match. Oh.
Well, it's not always. I do have a lot of non-competitive decks that if I'm playing an opponent that doesn't want to play competitive, and that's really cool about the community too. Anybody that's watching that hasn't joined, if you're not a competitive player and you say, hey, I'm looking for a game, not competitive, just a fun game, there's so many people that just have fun, janky, thematic decks that aren't right.
Right
Sophie will play you. Just go LFG in the channel. Yeah, no, I agree.
I actually had a game last weekend with Kevmo and Josh from Sorcery Gamblers Club and Rosaurus, where we had a 4-player match, and it was really bonkers.
Oh,
it was totally fun. It was
4-player brings out the funness of the game for sure. It's interesting. That's a really good point that you just brought up, because I think the one-on-one aspect of it, I don't know if it's just me and from playing sports and just doing competitive things all my life, when there is that one-on-one element, I think inherently just the competitiveness comes out in me. But when I'm in 4-player mode, it's just so fun. Like, I don't really care necessarily about winning. It's just doing the craziest thing on the board. So I definitely will be putting out some 4-player matches on the channel pretty soon. And if anyone wants to get on some videos, reach out to me on Discord, because that'd be awesome. If both of you want to be on one, let me know. That would be amazing.
Sure. We had a ton of fun. We've been playing with patrons and doing a 4-player. We had a lot of fun, like rolling boulder everything around, and
that's hilarious.
That's a lot of fun. So David here, he's saying that competitive play grows and the game grows and the collectibility grows.
True.
So there's the whole idea of this like ecosystem. But I do get where Nerd and Proud of It is coming from, because it also seems to be like maybe the sorcery team is also trying to fight the narrative that this is just like a pump and dump, and that people are actually playing it. So they're spending a lot of focus and attention on saying, hey, we have a lot of gameplay and it's super fun and it's super interesting.
And it really is.
And it is. But there has been a lot of focus on that recently, that that gameplay seems to take up a lot of attention and space right now. But I do think it's trying to contrast those voices that are like, is this really for real? And can the game actually be played? Because in the early days, before you and a lot of other people started, it was a lot about the art and collectibility. So I think they're just trying to balance it out a bit.
Yeah, and and Proud also says in the comment, it's not because he's against play, of course. He's just more like a kitchen table play kind of guy.
Absolutely. And maybe there will take some more channels, more visibility for channels that are more kitchen table and just having fun, instead of just trying to be uber competitive. And I think from Sorcery I can't speak for Sorcery, but I think they probably want to find that balance, because new players that are coming in, they don't want the entire internet to just say, oh, Sorcery is this uber competitive thing. People that are just kitchen table don't want to be competitive. They're like, oh, that's not the game for me because I can't do that. So that actually has my thinking cap spinning a little bit here, where I can think about some content that we could put out that would be a little bit more casual to kind of show both sides of the game. So I might reach out to both of you so we can kind of set something up and have some videos like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. And I also think that maybe we could you could also show some of like the narrative elements of like having some super cool effects and just like focusing on the flavor that can be had during a gameplay.
Yeah, and also
absolutely.
And also competitive play and casual play is it's not mutually exclusive, because you can of course go to a competitive match and learn a lot, then you can come back, have fun with the deck building and play all those casual games also.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
just to make the narrative
a
bit more flexible.
Yeah, and it's a spectrum. I mean, there's every end of it, anywhere in between, also depending on the company and 4-player or 1v1 or whatever you've got going on.
True. Yep, absolutely.
But on a competitive note, because you are a really experienced player and you are definitely among one of the most accomplished and competitive players I've seen online. And
thank you.
You're welcome. And you know a lot about the meta. So if a person should go to the tournament, what kind of meta do you think they could expect to meet at the meta, and what would be a great deck to build to maybe circumvent the most powerful card in the meta right now?
You're just looking for a cheat sheet, right?
Yeah. Are you going to the tournament? Yeah. I didn't see your name on the list.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good question. A couple of avatars have become popular recently because of Ira's, champion win. So
Yeah.
a lot of Death Speaker, I would assume a lot of that four color Death Speaker. I've seen that at Reaper that I play locally. We play there every week. And there's some really strong Death Speaker decks. So that, Zalem has an Enchantress deck that I've seen there a lot too. That's because it's best of one. You kind of want to be a little bit more unexpected. I've seen some decks that are like Reanimator decks that win on turn 3 and 4. That's extremely crazy. A Protagonist, I will get to Pathfinder. Don't worry, that is important. Yeah, and great segue, Protagonist. I would probably say Pathfinder. Earth Fire has been really big in the meta right now. A lot of people are playing that. Earth giving you life, giving you power, and
Big
mix
creature.
in damage with red and fire like that. It's just such a strong combination that me personally, shameless plug, I do have a deck on Curiosa called Warpath that has been making the rounds, and I see a lot of people playing that and variations of that, which is a Earth Fire Pathfinder deck that's more aggro. So I think for the tournament, more aggressive decks, things that are quicker, because it is best of one. So really that the dice roll is really important. So if you want to go first or second, that's really important element to it in the Swiss rounds. And then just having something that people aren't expecting is really important. When I first started, Earth Air was really popular, where it had like Pudge Butchers and Grapple Shots. And though those are still really popular and you see those, I couldn't tell you the last time that I've played against a Pudge Butcher. I just don't see it that much anymore. So Earth Air doesn't seem as popular, and you guys can roast me in the comments if I'm totally wrong about that. But I personally haven't seen that. Earth Fire has definitely been like really popular that I've seen as of late. And 4-color, 3-color Death Speaker is really, really strong. It's just an annoying deck, I'd say. No offense, Ira, your deck is great. Death Speaker's hard to handle, that's for sure. So what did Protagonist? Oh, okay, sorry, I'm reading the comments on the YouTube channel.
No problem. Go ahead. Sure.
I just put this one up also because it's
David is asking, like, could you name your like top 5 cards for competitive play?
Yeah, for competitive play. For my deck or for just in general? I don't know. That's a really good question. Well, Avatar of Earth, possibly. I'd hate for the whole tournament to be Avatar of Earth, but that's really strong for competitive play, because if you go mono Earth and your opponent has even a smidgen of Earth in it, you're just benefiting the Avatar, immensely there. So Avatar of Earth is very strong. I personally love splash damage in the sense of like unexpected damage. So I'm a big Petrosian Cavalry fan. One of my favorite cards. It just has charge. So with Warpath, my deck that I kind of promote all the time, I'm trying to be a little deceiving with my opponent, allow them to account for what's on the board, not necessarily what's in my hand. So like if I play a charge minion, they assume they're like, oh, I'm only going to get hit for what's on the board. Then I drop, a cavalry and then a firebolt. And then I just do all this like quick, random, sporadic damage that they're not expecting. So I love charge minions like that. The Quarrelsome Kobolds is probably one of my top favorite cards because of the way its ability works. I personally is one of my top 5 favorite cards. I don't know about competitive play, David, but I think it's really, really strong for a best of one matchup. It's a removal magnet, so your opponents are going to be wasting removal on a 3-drop, which I always think is really good. But if you combo like a Kobold with an Overpower or a Gigantism, you can swing with 1 Kobold in 1 turn for 16. You put a Gigantism on a Kobold and you swing for 8, and then at the end of turn you strike for another 8 at their avatar. Like that's pretty That's pretty
That's pretty
cracked, as they like to
intense.
say. Yeah, it's pretty intense. But yeah, for I don't know. I don't want David. Come back to me on that. I'll give you my entire list. It's hard on the spot because I'll probably get roasted for leaving one out.
So, protagonist, the one you were about to read here is that if it's best out of one, he
Yeah.
thinks that Dick Speaker will probably take it because it is more consistent. Do you
Yeah.
agree with that?
Totally. Yeah. It's pretty consistent. I definitely agree with that. And then while you believe Path is best, there are random times where it's a little wonky. Yeah, totally agree, protagonist. That's kind of where for my strategy when building Pathfinder, I don't include any double threshold spells that are under 4 mana, because you will find times, like let's say for me, I'm playing Earth Fire. I don't play unicorns in my deck because yes, they're a 3-drop and yes, they're uber strong, but there's been countless times because I don't know my next site that I don't have my second Earth. And I hate having a wasted card in my hand. And it's all about consistency. I know we're kind of promoting the competitiveness here. I'm sorry for those listening
No,
that aren't
it's fine.
We're
competitive.
going all in.
But yes, those are just some
right
tidbits.
here.
Yes. Hey, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And maybe also the Pathfinder in a best of one competitive game might be a bit risky because you could end up, really having some sides played at a really poor time. Having that Pillar of Cyrus come turn 1, it's just, I cry.
100%. 100%. When you're playing against a Death Speaker and you rather just exile all his minions, it's the worst. Yeah, definitely. It is risky, but you got to risk it for the biscuit. You know what I mean? That's what they say.
Yeah,
Definitely.
exactly. So now we've sort of covered some stuff. So I have a few questions I thought that might be interesting. So we are talking a lot about the competitive side, but gameplay overall, what would you like to see the team do in Arthurian Legends? Because this is something that's coming this year. How would you want it to shake up the meta? And what are the avatars you think could really use some more support?
Sure. To answer your first question, I would like to see, I know even you guys have shown some stuff in the past where they have the quick magics or the magics that are on the non-active player side.
Yeah.
I would like to see variations of that, not necessarily counters. I would just like to see some sort of interaction. So one that I have, for example, it would be really cool to have a quick magic that untaps a minion. So you kind of secretly, you can swing and then, or you can be tapped and then your opponent attacks. And if you're adjacent to that attack, you can untap to block that attack. I think that would be really fun to have those sort of interact, something thematic that Sorcery I know could come up with, but something like that, that's not just necessarily counters, because I don't mind them when they're the counters that they've shown in the past where it's they're counters for specific rarities. I think that's kind of limited enough. I wouldn't have had a problem if that was in the game, honestly, other than just a straight up counter spell. If it said counter and exceptional, I'm cool with that. That's not ruining the game in my opinion. But some sort of thematic way to be able to do something on your opponent's turn, but
then you could take a strength potion or something that would be very thematic to Arthurian, so you can untap and defend again with your avatar. That would be cool.
Right. That would be really cool. I do hope there's something like that in there. Some way, kind of like the Royal Bodyguard, where it can absorb damage, where you can say you could cast a spell, and let's say it's on Slumbering Giantess, which is also one of my favorite cards in the entire game, where she's a 5 power, and her ability, she doesn't wake up until she takes damage. So if you're able to cast a quick magic sort of thing where you could absorb the damage that's hit, that's struck nearby or something like that, that would be really cool. Something like that would be very interesting.
Yeah, for sure. So what about the avatars? What would you like to see get some more support? Are there avatars right now that you feel are sort of underplayed because they're not really synergizing enough?
Well, I don't want to turn this into the Pathfinder show, but while I'm here, more atlases, more sites for Pathfinder would be awesome, because it's hard to it's really difficult to do a solo color Pathfinder deck just because there's not enough sites in the game. And fire, there's not enough sites really for fire. So I play things like Mirage that don't actually work with Pathfinder. So that would be one. And definitely Enchantress. Seeing more auras would be really cool, because right now there's only a few that are really playable, because entangled terrain just doesn't work, because the moment that you animate entangled terrain, the entangled terrain is also immobile, so you can't swing with it. So just more things like that, more flavorful auras would be really fun to see. And I probably have a bunch more. The moment we end the stream, I'm going to say, oh yeah, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, that's just the way it works.
What about both of you? Do you have something?
I think I have a lot of things I would love to see, but that's more like flavor wise.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I do think I would love to see, because I feel like sorcery from the beginning is about the elements and alchemy.
Yes.
So I hope that we get like potions. I would love to see them do something around that. Something
That'd be
with
awesome.
potions for healing or extra damage or whatever they can think of. But I think that would be really nice, and add like a little extra something. And especially if you can take a potion instantly at like instant speed, I think that would be very interesting to see if that could work out.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
Yeah, I think that would just be something fun to explore. Yeah. What about you?
I think would like to see some more artifacts, and would also like to see something more for the element of water.
Oh, yes. There you go.
So yeah, some
totally agree.
Bigger sea creatures, maybe some more of those buried treasure kind of things, that stuff you could place on the map that you could later try to dig up or get hold of to get you some sort of benefit.
That's
I think
really
fun.
Yeah, that's actually a fantastic point. I'm glad you said water, because water definitely needs more support. I think when I first started the game, I know I'm not alone in this, water was the first element that I built decks for, because I thought they were the prettiest. Like, just the art, the color palette was amazing. And then once I started playing it, and then here comes the competitive side of Drew, where I was like, it's not as competitive. So I kind of ditched water, and I love to not ditch water, because I think thematically water is one of the coolest things to do with sorcery, with drowning and creating a body of water and doing all of that. So if they get extra support there, it would be really cool.
Yeah. So we've been talking a lot about like the gameplay. Let's just slightly shift over to something about collectibility, just sliding over there. So do you collect anything? Do you have like a favorite card? You have like in every edition, sample card, foil card, alpha, beta. Do you have a collection at home of stuff?
I do have a collection of stuff, but nothing as cool as you guys probably have, or some of the other amazing like artist proofs that I see Mike and Collector Art House that they have over there. So they will all put me to shame. I have my sealed alpha and beta product, pretty much of everything that you could have bought from the alpha set, like all the play mats, the precons, the boxes and all that stuff. I have all of that sealed, but one of my favorite cards, and this is totally out of left field, one of my favorite cards is by specifically for art is Border Militia by Truett Parrish. And I just think there's something so calming, I guess, about that. The painterly effect of that card that he did with the art for that card is so amazing. I love the color palette. And it's just something about it. So I do have the foil of that alpha and beta, and I'm trying to get an artist proof of that. So hopefully there's someone out there that's willing to just hand one over. Great.
Preferably.
Yeah, David.
You have a curio, is David.
Do I have is an Eric's Curiosa considered a curio from the alpha version, not the beta version?
No, unfortunately.
No. David, why do you got to put me on the spot like that? No.
We don't have a curio either, which is ironic. So
it's very ironic. We do a lot of stuff with the curios, but we have never actually seen one live or held one live.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm with you. The only thing I think I have the closest thing that I have to a curio, which is not a curio, is I have a foil avatar of water that I pulled, which I was really excited about. I pulled that on stream. That was cool.
Nice.
but no curios. But I am if it matters, David, I know I don't have a curio, and that's you put me to shame right there. But I am the first person to have an Eric's Curiosa graded. And so if that means anything, it probably doesn't, but
we'll just add some points for that.
There we go. You're right. I hope I'm cool now,
Tommy,
David.
he's also saying that you mentioned, I mentioned some instant stuff that could be done on opponent's turn. Blocking in this game is equivalent to the instant in the game. Yeah, I can see that.
Sure. I think it's more of the element of surprise in the sense of where you can be offensive, and then if like your opponent, let's say your opponent's minion is tapped and you decide to swing at the site that your opponent has their minion on and not the opponent. You don't kill the minion, even though you could, you just didn't. You wanted to take their, take life points from them. Then they basically untap on their turn, and then they swing at your site that's behind you, closer to your avatar. Well, if you had a quick magic that let you untap that minion you just attacked with to be able to block again, like you're offensive and defensive, I think that would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, and that was the same I mentioned with potions. Imagine going for the kill on a minion and suddenly you can't kill it because it just like took a potion or something. I just think that it would be fun to do, add like a little spicy element of surprise.
That would give a big, notch up to all the lethal creatures.
Exactly. I think that would definitely be fun. Oh, we do have a curio owner in the house. Congratulations, Sorcery TCG.
And also a fellow Dane.
Always good
That's
to
awesome.
see.
It's doubly rare.
That's awesome.
And that's also kind of interesting because it is a lot of people from the US and from Canada who's been making a lot of content. So anybody out there, if you're European, even if you're not amazing at speaking English, give it a go. People have been so supportive and very tolerant of our horrible accents.
Well, I mean, even if for someone who's fluent in English, I say things like chanimals. So, I mean, you don't even have to be that good at English.
That was on purpose.
That was just to be kind to the Danes, right?
Trying to make a new word here.
You're great hosts. Let's just say that.
Yeah, absolutely. And hello to Golden Eagle Cards.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
So I do get some street cred, though.
You go into that one. So Drew, how about some predictions for the Dragon mini set?
Oh, yeah. Chanimals, Curio, and a fire set. Yeah.
Do I have that?
do you have any predictions about the Dragon mini set? I don't have any predictions about the specific set, but I do think there's going to be cards that will get better, obviously, that will see more play that don't really see play right now. And that is, I'm sure you guys will get it before me or someone in the chat, but the Incinerate, that's going to be an interesting card because that works off of allied dragons. So that could start seeing play more. And it is expensive because it costs 5, but it's only 1 threshold. So you could play it with Elementalist, even if you're not running fire, and it's an ordinary, so you can tutor it with common sense. So I could see that, and it deals 4 damage, and it deals 4 damage to units. So I could see that seeing more play. I don't know. I wonder if it's going to be all just dragon minions or fit cards like, Incinerate that work with dragons. It might be a combination of both. Other than,
I think, and this is really just a guess because I don't know anything about it. There might be people in the chat who are patrons of Ed Beer Jr. and they would be able to say more. But I think there will be a Dragon Lord, and I'm really considering if he is going to be an avatar. I get the feeling that he looks very much like an avatar. But again, Eric tends to want them to be hooded and not have so you can imagine yourself in that place. So he doesn't fit that description. But a Dragon Lord and his entire set of dragons, there would be something really meta shaking about having a new avatar coming out and doing a lot of crazy stuff with a lot of support cards.
And maybe also a dragon relevant site.
Yeah.
It looks like one of the
there's going to be
paintings
like a dragon castle
format,
thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'd probably say something like if you cast a minion to this site, it costs 1 less or 2 less or something, like some sort of benefit. Because I wonder what kind of a site that's dragon themed, how it could benefit a dragon. And I think maybe allowing it to be a cheaper cost, like cost reduction would be pretty
that would
cool.
be very cool.
Maybe
I'm
removing some
seeing
thresholds.
so many good questions. I'm gonna grab them out from chat here. So you don't have a curio, but if you were to acquire one, or somebody just decided to send you one, which one do you want?
Well, I appreciate you, Kevmo, sending me one. I think that's what you're getting at here.
That's
is
what
I'm
he's trying to
assuming.
say, yeah.
Definitely.
There's probably two. The first one would be the alt art of Death Dealer. I think that art is insane. I love Frank's art there. And maybe, I don't know if this is considered a popular one or not, but the Mirror Realm. I love the idea of the flipped mirror. Like, that's such a small little change that probably so many people would have passed. I think that's really cool. What else? Obviously, the sketch art from the Eric's Curiosa would be cool.
Exactly.
And then the Holy Grail would be the Death Speaker, that yellow, the yellow backed one, brown one. Yeah, that'd be amazing. So I appreciate that, Kev. If you're sending that one over to me,
you can just DM him and get some address info to ship that right over.
Dude, thank you so much, man. I appreciate
it. Golden Eagle Cards is saying he has a really good question here. How has it been planning the event, and is there anything that's been like surprising or difficult to like deal with? Because we talked a bit about you going to an event where someone who had never organized or participated in a tournament decided to just organize it. How about you?
Shout out to Ragnar.
Shout out to Ragnar, better known as Rhabarber Smith.
Oh, nice. Great shout out. Yeah. Planning has been amazing. It's so much fun. When you have a good team of people, especially the people at Reaper, it makes it fun. I feel pretty competent in what I'm doing, and they're extremely competent in what they're doing. And so bringing those things together, and honestly, the feedback from the community, I've created a March of the Mortals Discord, and I'm very open in saying, hey, this is what I want to do. Do you guys like this idea? Because even though it's like I'm putting this event on, I still want this to be community driven. And so I don't want to lose focus of that. And so I want the player feedback, because I could say I want everything to be just like this. And if the players don't like it, they're not going to want to come back. And it's going to look bad for my tournaments. And I don't want that. So in terms of planning has been great, Golden Eagle, and anything surprising that I've learned, people have strong opinions. Yeah, people have strong opinions just about certain things, and it's great. I love it. I would never ask for people's feedback if I didn't expect strong opinions. So, I love the sorcery community. Honestly, the support as a player before someone who hosted or is going to be hosting an event. I thought the sorcery community in the Discord was fantastic, or is fantastic. But after announcing a tournament and kind of taking on an endeavor as big as I want to make it, as I intend to make it, the support for it has been amazing, by people donating for prizes, additional prize support on top of what was already initially announced. The community has just been so great. All the tickets that have been purchased so quickly, sorcery, like Eric's Curiosa being so supportive of what I'm doing, and even people that can't go. It's literally just anybody in this chat that says, if I was close but not able to, but I'm not able to make it, that seriously means so much to me. And so it's fantastic. Yeah, David, the community is fantastic. And Justin, shout out the Texas representation.
Let's get Justin up on that.
Let's go.
Exactly. And he's also saying, what's your favorite site for Path, or just in general?
My favorite site for Pathfinder. That's a really good question, Justin. Let's see. I've got a list of them. For surprising, like, people don't think that Rift Valley works with Pathfinder, but it can work in a lot of niche situations. So I think that one's really good. And probably, though, the best one would be, my favorite would be Vesuvius. I think Vesuvius does so much. And Vesuvius is really cool because it can just kill root spiders. I Root spiders can be the bane of your existence if you're not playing them, and so Vesuvius is really strong. Yeah, there's a lot. That's a really good question, but probably, you know what's the best site for Pathfinder, Justin? I'll give you the answer right now. It's the one you need, and because you never know when you're going to get it, like the right one. So, yeah, Pillar of Zeros is great too, but yeah, there's so many times where I'm like, I need Earth for my next site. I don't care what Earth it is. If it's a village or it's a pillar or it's a bedrock, I don't care. As long as it's Earth, like I'm great with that. In general, though, it would be Edge of the World. I think Edge of the World has some amazing shenanigans that you can do with that card. If you're on the play, not a shout out to my YouTube channel, but if you're on the play going first in a game, you can do some really cool board setups with Edge of the World. So yeah, that's probably my overall favorite.
The Wizard, the Witch, and the Wombat is saying Crossroads, so you can get whatever you want for the next one.
That's a good point, Wizard, but this is my thought on that. And I see some other people talking about Crossroads for sure. I used to agree with you on that. But going back to
hot take.
Yeah, hot take here. Yeah. You guys buckle up. No, I used to agree with that. But like to the example I was just saying, if I said, oh, next turn I want to play this giant test, or I need my second Earth because I need to kill my opponent's things because I have an earthquake in hand, and that next card's a Crossroads, I just lost the game. So like you for competitive play and consistency, I don't like Crossroads with Pathfinder. The only time I like it is if it's my turn one, which I can't know that, but yeah, nice, Justin.
And thanks to Jen for just putting that one up.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, no. Crossroads, though, to that point, Wizard and Volver, I used to really like Crossroads, but once you start looking at it from that perspective, that I would just rather have Crossroads be the color that I need instead of the potential for the color in the future, which could lose you the game. And I've played many games. I can remember one specifically against Zalem that I would have won the game if the next card was an Earth. And that's why I keep using Earth as an example. If the next card was an Earth and it was a Crossroads, and I literally lost on his next turn because of that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, that's terrible. So I saw a question. Yeah, someone said that they enjoyed watching Zach Attack and I get sight screwed when playing Path. Yeah, that's always fun for the viewers, for sure.
For the viewers, definitely. Brig is saying if you played any 4-player format yet. We just briefly covered it, but have you tried any of the community-driven alternative rules with alternative cards in it yet?
That's funny you say that. Months ago, maybe about a year ago, I actually developed quite a few different 4-player formats. One that I've presented to a few people at Sorcery and said like, hey, I think this is a really cool idea. This was before I had my YouTube channel and stuff. So now I think just making videos about it would be really cool. But I had a format called Time Bomb that was centered around a doomsday device, where the intention
I remember that. Did you not share it on like
yeah, where it was centered around doomsday device, where you have the 4 single player boards, and then in the middle is a doomsday device where you're essentially going to try to get the doomsday device to bring it to your opponent's side, and then it respawns every time it detonates. So yeah, there's that. There was also another one that I made called, we didn't really have a funny name for it yet, but it was centered around the Immortal Throne, where there was, it was a kind of a 2v2 sort of situation where you're just trying to trigger the Immortal Throne. And there was essentially on the sides of the boards, there was like artifact pits where that had all the mana values that would trigger the Immortal Throne. So in the event you came to an LGS and you didn't have a 4-drop in your deck, you still had the opportunity to trigger the throne because you had the opportunity to go to the artifact pit that I was calling them, or I called it the edge of the realm is what I called it, where they could go to that area and cast like a card from that area that would let them trigger the throne. And then there was another one that's a capture the flag, where if you play on TTS, you kind of think of your teammate being the person left and right of you. Well, this one, it was your teammate was the person in front of you and your opponents were to your left or right. And to the left of your board was where you needed to bring the flag, and the center of the board was where the flag was, and everyone tried to race to it and they kill each other, grab the flag, and then bring it back to the area. So a lot of like Halo, a lot of like Call of Duty.
Yeah,
things.
exactly.
So stuff like that was so to answer that question, I played a ton of 4-player, and I think I'm going to get it on the channel because I think that really exudes the casual, fun, thematic, just non-competitive piece of the game. So yeah, thank you all, and especially both of you for mentioning that, because I think the community definitely wants to see stuff like that. So
yeah, I think so too. And I'm just going to do the very annoying YouTuber thing and say, if you are enjoying this, please do hit that like button, because YouTube really wants you to hit the like button if this video needs to go out to more people. So please do that. We have so many awesome questions.
We have a question for all three of us.
Yes.
Oh, what kind of theme set would you like to see in the future after Arthurian Legends? Ooh. So would you start out, Drew?
Lovecraftian. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lovecraft sort of style would be really cool. I mean, this is really cop out, but I love the Arthurian Legends stuff. I think that would be something that I would have said if I didn't already know that was going to come out. Definitely,
Yeah,
but Lovecraft, Arthurian Legend style stuff is really cool. Sorry if that's not the answer you were looking for, but that would be my answer.
That's cool.
Yeah. What about you?
I actually saw a really fun looking deck. I think it was an air deck that had a lot of void walk. I mean, I think it was called something like Lovecraftian something on Curiosa. It looked really fun. It was, thematically centered around summoning big evil things, Cthulhu-like stuff. So I think maybe it was Flash of Water also with the Great Old One. But yeah, it looked fun.
Definitely. Yeah, I just want to see my Greco-Roman set. Come on, Eric, let's do it. It would be so epic. Like, Greco-Roman world, ancient temples, the Greek gods, the Roman gods, all the mythological creatures, beautiful landscapes, cool new avatars. I think it would be amazing. There's so much like cultural heritage that you could pull on. I'm an archaeologist by training,
cool.
specializing in Roman and Greek archaeology. So for me, that would just be my my hobby, my passion, everything combining in one. So I really hope we get to see that set someday.
Well, hopefully Chase is still in the chat and he can bring that over to Eric's desk. And he can let him know, because that would be amazing. I want to play that set right now, actually.
I did try to affect when we had the interview with Eric very early on. I did say, "Hey, Eric,
good.
This would be so cool." So hopefully that's something you could do.
Yeah, and we also did a video actually.
Yeah.
Hitting upon some of the themes that we think we saw in the alpha and the beta set, and there was a lot of roads to take actually, but one of the big ones was of course the Roman and Greek mythology.
Yeah.
I would also like to just see them delve deeper into the fantasy vibe. Give me some mythological creatures. Give me griffins and give me dryads and tree folks and elves and dwarves. I would love to see, more of those kind of creatures.
Yeah, definitely.
Really
There's
cool.
so much fantasy world to get in there. So I think we kind of need to wrap it up. So let's grab those questions. Can you design an Earth site that you would love to have in your Pathfinder deck if you could have your fantasy dream site? What would be the best one?
Oh my gosh, Kev, why are you going to ask these great questions?
But they are awesome.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there would be an air site I would like before Earth. I think Earth has some really good, strong sites. I can't think of an Earth site. If you ask me a fire site, that would be different because there's a lot of fire sites that I think would be cool. But for one thing that I think Pathfinder would be really sweet to do is have a site that would inherently be able to redirect the Pathfinder, that lets you go in different directions. Mirage, the way that I want Mirage to work with Pathfinder would allow you to do that, but unfortunately those two don't work together. But I would love to be able to just redirect Pathfinder. So whatever color that is, I would be all for it. Something that does that, some sort of like redirection. Because I could like put a site here, and then instead of going to it, like, or even if I did go to it, I could push myself back. Yeah, Chase is lurking.
I'm just gonna bust his chops here. He's lurking somewhere out there, listening, absorbing some ideas, hopefully.
Don't draw attention to Chase.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Bring the
Kevin
block.
saying a dark fairy tale set. I think that would be very cool. So I have one question I would love to end with. Is there a card right now in the alpha beta set that you really desperately want to play, but it's just not that good? It's not good enough to play with, but you so want to play with it.
That is a really, really good question. You guys are asking such good questions. You in the chat are just on it today. There's a lot. Which one's one of my favorites though? That I would love to play. Probably the Constrictor. I think the Constrictor is really cool. It just dies so easily, and it's extremely slow for it to use its ability. Because the things like have to be there with you to be able to do it. And if you cast the Constrictor, they just move away and you can't use its ability. So there's just like a lot of like nuances that make it really slow. And the art on that card is insane. So especially in foil. So I think that's a cool card. Probably not the top card, maybe if I had more time to think about it, but like the Constrictor is one of the ones I think that come to mind.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I know, Sophie, you said that you wanted to go, but I did want to shout out one thing that we actually didn't touch on about March of the Mortals, and I know we all love the art part here, is that the top prize for March of the Mortals is a commissioned piece from Truett Parish that him and I worked specifically together for March of the Mortals. So this is a unique one-of-one piece that is not even out there yet. And so we've talked about the concept multiple times. He's sent me so many amazing sketches. We've we kind of honed in different sketches and different pieces, and we came together and said, this is what we think is going to be best and represent March of the Mortals the best. So he's working on the master sketch for that right now. And a part of all the other things you get with March of the Mortals, another thing that's really cool is that, and I've said this before to like Chase and stuff at Sorcery, is I didn't want to just hand the winner the piece and be done with it. I've spoken with Truett before even asking him for the piece. I said, I want this to be kind of like a memorable experience. So, sketches and images along the way of Truett's progression from the initial very first sketch he sent me to the art piece that that the winner gets, they will kind of have a story behind that. So it's going to be a very unique experience from the artist. And Truett is by far, before even doing anything with tournaments, there's something about Truett's work that is just so special. And to me, I love his painterly effect. And the reason why I went with Truett was because I love the way he makes like mortals and humans, and I love the way that they look, especially with like Highland Klansmen and Jihad and Crusade and Border Militia. The way that the people look, that's kind of how I was envisioning the piece. So I've already seen a lot of the sketches of what he's come up with, and it's absolutely amazing, and I'm super excited about that. And so I just wanted to shout out to Truett. I don't know if he's watching. I don't think he's watching, but that's one thing that I really wanted to focus on, that he is definitely, even though I don't think he's going to be there, hopefully, but he is definitely a big part of it, because that grand prize is going to be really special. And I'm not playing in the tournament, so it's not going to be going to me.
No, but you're going to do interviews and recordings and everything.
Yes,
it sounds really great. So is Drewid also going to be there in person?
I've asked him a couple times. I maybe. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
yet. I don't know yet. If well, let's just say this: if he showed up, would you guys go?
Well, if we had a
Okay.
better pay grade, we would definitely come.
Okay. Okay.
Actually, Matthias Frisk was one of the participations in the tournament in Sweden, and that was just really great. I knew it was
That's
coming.
awesome.
I had brought some cards to get signed, but actually some of the players didn't know that he was actually the artist, and when they heard it was like, really? Is
That's
that dude
amazing.
the artist? And it was like, yeah, it was just so sweet. Just
That's awesome.
come over here. I'm just going to sign, and
Yeah, and he brought like an entire stack of postcards for everybody to just grab some so he could sign them. Was super
Yeah.
cool about it. So we're lucky
That's
that not
awesome.
only the community is awesome, the artist is awesome,
Seriously.
and so many awesome content creators. We really appreciate you coming on here today. It has been a lot of fun, and we would love to do it again sometime. And
Absolutely.
if you are not already subscribed, you need to go hit the link down in the description for On the Play so you can subscribe to all this awesome gameplay, and also go figure out if you want to be one of the mortals at March of the Mortals. So thank you so much, and thank you for everybody watching. Please do hit the like button, consider subscribing for more interviews and more sorcery content. Thank you, guys.
Thank
yeah, thank you, Drew.
Bye. Thank you.